clear 35-minute first turret falling in the mid lane matchups.
Well, we'll have to see. Energy, Pacemaker, and Vici will take to Champs League now for Game 1. EP over on the blue side for the first game of the best of 2. Vici over on the red. Rumble ban there for EP, not too surprising. And Anar actually, respect there to Amazing J.
Yeah, we haven't talked much about the top lane matchup, but already 2 targeted bans towards the top. But this is an interesting ban. Nidalee has been banned away. You have to think from Dandy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there aren't really any Nidalee solo lane players so far in the LPL. I believe Pawn has exactly one game yet on Nidalee there as well. But it is likely a jungle ban. We mentioned Amazing J here for EP, so no surprise to see specifically a Nar ban there, and carries a big Rumble player as well. And Hecarim actually, more respect over to the EP top lane.
Yeah, it's only been Clearlove that's tried to take the Hecarim to the jungle. Insec as well, now that I think about it. But it's mostly been the Hecarim top, and especially the target ban towards Amazing J's Hecarim. No Ignite teleport shenanigans, at least I assume, coming out from Amazing J.
Yeah, Lissandra ban there as well for EP for their last, and Kassadin the last one there for Vici, and Energy Pacemaker will snap up the Janna as their first pick.
Yeah, I mean, picking up Janna is wonderful for yourself, but denying Marta Janna is such an important thing to do. Marta's so wonderful on that champion. It supports the roaming style with the extra movement speed and just the overall disengage to be able to put down those wards deep. So take it away and not support any playstyle. And
it's funny, we talk a lot about Dandy and Marta obviously on this team. I feel like they've adapted to play just a bit more Chinese League of Legends, a bit more aggressive. You know, Marta's been going to Annie, to Leona, I think maybe in some cases as well. And Dandy last week with the carry style, starting to pick up a bit more of that local aggression.
And I think that's important. Like, you can't just put in something that was so effective in another scene on another team and hope for results. You know, no one really knew what it would mean if you put Dandy and Marta on another team. And what we've kind of got is there's been flashes of brilliance from Vici where they really take advantage of the wards, where their solo laners get to a position in lane where they can actually utilize that information and carry. And there's been equally as many other times where the information's kind of just been almost wasted gold in terms of all the wards that have been down. They haven't been able to make the rotations or the plays to support all the wards that have been put down. So I like the more selfish style from Dandy, but it doesn't mean that in 4 or 5 weeks' time or when we get to playoffs, that this will be the Dandy Marta show that we expected.
True, and we'll catch up on the draft a bit. Vici did go with Maokai Corki as their first 2 picks, so pretty standard stuff. EP responded with Azir and Jarvan, also very standard here in 5.2. So Vici, plenty of options now as they go for their 3rd and 4th picks of the draft.
Yeah, Azir blind pick is actually very safe still on 5.2. We've seen a lot of different flavors of Azir, of course, whether we've seen the Zhonya's put in or not. Vasily hovering over the Veigar here. Of course, Veigar support has been finding its way into other scenes. Veigar mid, of course, Pawn has pulled out twice already. Not sure if we're going to see the lock-in, but it's a fun hover anyway.
Yeah, we do have Rek'Sai there as well, so another big Dandy jungler, and Veigar will come in for Vici as their 4th pick there, so it's going somewhere.
I don't know if we've seen the Veigar support in China yet, so there is a lot of potential that it could be a mid-lane Veigar against Azir. With that kind of medium range, he's going to want to hang back and farm up your Q. Of course, it's a bit of a risk. You usually use that Q for lane control. But if you waddle up as Veigar and try and trade and the Sand Soldiers come in, you're going to eat a lot of harass. So I'm going to guess it's going to be a mid lane Veigar, but there's always that flex pick of the support.
Yeah, we'll have to see here as well. But EP are going to lock in their last 2 here. Love the Lee Sin there for Drizzle. He's looked best on that champion. But Ezreal's actually going to come in for the AD carry now.
Ezreal, a late pick here, is very interesting to me. Of course, it's against the Corki. I believe it was Kid who said he was happy to take Ezreal into Corki. Corki tries to harass the Ezreal, doesn't have the range on the Phosphorus Bomb to really get big trades in, and Corki's ability to push pre-level 6 isn't that strong. Of course, Ezreal's probably the weakest champion pre-6 in terms of lane control, but it's a decent lane up for the Ezreal. He can get through it, and this is going to be a Veigar support. So if it's a 2v2 lane, not a lot of pressure being put up by the Veigar, especially early.
Yeah, and we can see now Vici going to consider what looks like their mid lane pick here last to finish off their draft. So it is going to be support Veigar, and we've seen this matchup so much on 5.2. It's going to be Xerath once again into Azir.
That's one of those situations where I wasn't really hoping that would be the case. Of course, it's such a long laning phase traditionally between these two champions because they have so much wave clear available. But the Veigar support's an interesting talking point here because you've got a lot of wave clear coming through from the Xerath. If you group with Corki, with the Trinity Force Power Spike especially, you can put him in the mid lane, put a Veigar cage down just to zone, and then you're able to just use that Trinity Force Power Spike, take down turrets so easily. If they can win the laning phase land side, if Vasily can get going on that Corki, and be able to roam around the lane with that power spike, potentially a lot of turret damage coming in the mid game.
Yeah, we have so many good Corki players in the LPL as well. Obviously, Deft from EDG comes to mind as probably the best, and of course we'll see him later today. But if that is true here for the LPL, I wonder if we'll see maybe a bit more Vega, because as you mentioned, it really just is the event horizon, that big AoE stun from Vega Z that just makes him a competent support.
And if it is a 2v2, and remember, we do see that that Vega is often used in a lane swap just because his 2v2 laning isn't that great. But in a 2v2 lane, you kind of have to take extra magic resist runes if you're against a Corki Vega, because that's purely almost magic damage harass in lane.
Yeah, I mean, his ult still does reasonable damage. He probably isn't going to build that much AP from the bottom side of the map, but still does respectable damage. I mean, it is mostly for the utility, but still a very good pick.
Okay, there's been some technical issues in China getting a PC started, so I believe a PC's died. They're starting to reset things, so we are delayed a little bit. We do have the picks through those, so we can keep discussing those. Lane swap, I think, will be the order of the day, though, with this Corki Vega lane. It struggles 2v2, you'd have to say.
Even against, I think, Ezreal Janna, which is a kind of a weak-ish lane as well.
I guess maybe, now that you put it that way, it's probably one of the safer lanes to go 2v2. Janna, she's disengaged, not really engaged, has engage options, but just not realistically able to pressure that much. So of the Vega lanes, of the Vega 2v2s, it's certainly not the Leonas of the world that are able to really get in there and body the Vega. So it's the safest it's going to get if you're going to go 2v2 with a Vega.
Yeah, it's nice to see as well. There's Dandy, of course, on your screen. Some of the players seem to still be wearing the outfits they had from the last time we saw them in Week 5, so still celebrating Chinese New Year, of course, now that they've come back from the break there. But yeah, it's going to be a very interesting opening game here. The players, of course, back from their break, presumably refreshed as well, and are ready to go. And if everyone's been planning their match, has got a little bit of extra time to take some time off, get prepared, should be a great one here. And Vici are a team that I feel like benefit from a lot of preparation.
And look, it's 3 match days a week. There's a lot of games happening. This is the first break they've had, so that's why we're going to start seeing maybe bringing in some of the elements of other scenes. The Vega support already is a new thing for the LPL, but it's cropping up in NA, in Korea. Maybe some more of the GE Tigers strategies will be cribbed by some of these teams. We haven't seen the Juggermore, the Protect the Kog'Maw comp that's been so dominant in other scenes. That might come through today. I do expect there to be some nods to other scenes, but always the traditional Chinese innovation.
And I think that's the thing that I find really interesting about China especially is they always seem to patch quite late, and we often skip patches here in China just because, they update the servers a little later than other scenes. They have their own patching schedule there. So, while the rest of the scene is developing some things that, maybe aren't quite adjusted yet to be good on this particular patch, you'll start taking things like Vega, who, isn't really patch dependent. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, he's quite good.
Well, you say not patch dependent, of course. With 5.4, Vega's stun goes away from being an instant cast. It can still be used as a zoning tool, but doesn't have quite the same effectiveness, especially in lane. It becomes basically only really a zone control spell rather than an instant stun or disengage in lane. So Vega's support potentially getting patched out with 5.4, but there's no way to know when exactly China will be jumping to 5.4. It could be quite a bit. As you say, there is consistently a delay in patching. So bring it out now, and if it's popular, there could be a few weeks where it's still very, very effective.
Yeah, we actually haven't seen Ari either. She dropped through the draft here as well, and she's still at full strength. I mean, we do have some Ari players in the LPL. I imagine they will be taking her once we get there as well, but both these teams didn't want to look at her. It's still Azir Xerath at the top for them.
Yeah, I mean, Ari still, despite her level of strength, especially on 5.2, does sometimes fall through the drafts because not everyone picks up that champion. Of course, when we come to OMG, we all know about Coolzar, and there's certainly Ari players in the LPL, but it just hasn't been the first pick, first ban that we've expected, especially, again, on this power level.
I mean, there's a bit of a preview for the upcoming match, the last one of today. You want to talk about Coolzar? Pawnzar is not bad as well, so that was likely a pretty big contested pick in that match.
We're going to have so many champion picks, so many undefeated champions when we come to that matchup that will be echoing and smiling and broadly smiling across the board. This matchup, though, some interesting ones. I do see it's going to be the superb villain Vegas. There's going to be some dapper minions and champions on the Rift.
Yeah. And there's support there as well. Also, just from the draft that we saw, Cleanse becoming reasonably popular, especially on champions like Azir. And I see that's actually, I think, Ignite Cleanse, or Heal Cleanse, sorry, as the mid-lane matchup there, Xerath Azir. What do you think of just that little summoner choice?
I mean, Cleanse has actually been very popular in the LPL. Cassiopeia, whenever we see her, usually has the Cleanse. Again, it's just about consistent damage. Any champion that's about getting in auto attacks, like the Azir, or potentially the Cassiopeia, about getting a lot of spells in. If it's damage over time, it's going to be Cleanse.
Yeah, as we just kind of look through as well. Amazing Jay, actually we didn't even mention it. They picked a Jarvan, but you know what? We'll find out in a second. Let's get right into the game. And we are into the game, but we do have a brief pause, unfortunately. So welcome back. We should be into the game once we sort that out there as well. But again, going through the draft a bit more. Amazing J didn't even notice it, actually. Drizzle does have his Lee Sin, but Amazing J is taking Jarvan back to the top lane.
Jarvan top lane. It's very interesting. Against the Maokai, I don't feel like it's going to be really able to pressure him out of lane. We've talked lane swaps a few times. In terms of lane swaps, you'd give the advantage to Maokai just because he has a bit more reliable ranged wave clear. Of course, Jarvan can just farm with the Lance Q and be able to get those last hits, snipe them away even with the 60 damage on that level 1 flag. So he does have options in a 1v2, but you'd pass it to Maokai with the extra sustain. And again, coming back to the cleanse, you have to remember, we've talked about the Veigar rotating to mid. They want to break that turret. Breaking in an Azir turret, and just the regular turret, not even the passive we're talking about here, but getting Azir's turret is a very difficult thing to do. That's why we've said we've had 35-minute matches where turrets are falling around the side lanes, but Azir versus Xerath, both those turrets are up because of all the wave clear on those champions. So in this case, when you have Veigar grouping in the mid, pulling out the event horizon, smart to have the cleanse there.
Yeah, we are into game 1 here for our week 6 LPL day. Here, of course, in the first game after our break here, Energy Pacemaker versus Vici. Going to play the first match of their best of 2. EP over on the blue, Vici inhabiting the red side today, and both teams back and refreshed from their break. Let's see what they bring to our first game.
So yeah, the big question has been, will we see a lane set or will we see 2v2? Very smartly pointed out by Pastry Town, there is a Janna Ezreal lane, so not a lot of pressure from either of those champions in the early levels. Not a lot of wave control either with the Ezreal, so it is a viable strategy to go 2v2, but the scouting is on.
Yeah, we can see Mata there as well, pretty aggressive on his choices early on. Actually, Dandy in a bit of trouble, just taking harass. Drizzle going to follow in. Dandy looks like almost going to get first blood. A great heal, though, from Hatong will keep him safe, but Dandy forced a flash.
Yeah, Dandy a little bit slow coming back from the break here. Just took it a little bit too casual, was trying to trade damage with Drizzle, but not respecting the fact that Shu was right there next to him. Has to use flash very, very early. It's Lee Sin versus Rek'Sai, so you have to think the skirmish advantage is significantly in Drizzle's camp, and now he might have unwittingly opened up Drizzle to do some significant counter jungling.
And interestingly, Vici might even be looking for the swap here, like you mentioned, Carrie. With the Maokai's looking to clean out the little Raptors, so going to start out there on that camp for himself. Might even try and clear it all. But Vasili's already in the top side of the map, and Mata's going to waddle his way up there as well. So Dandy will start on the blue side of his jungle. Drizzle on Lycian's going to start on his blue as well.
Yeah, showing a lot of respect to the fact that Veigar, again, not known as a strong 2v2 laner. We thought this was maybe the one lane that he could be competitive in, but I imagine they've usually practiced the Veigar support in a lane swap because you can't assume Ezreal Janna very often. So just go with what you know, go with what you're more comfortable with, and go for the lane swap.
Yeah, and that's despite Mata's reasonably aggressive choices, starting with the spell thieves, and also having Ignite for his lane there as well. So going to add a decent amount of pressure whenever he does roam through the lanes, but we'll actually start with a swap here, and it seems like Vici going to get the upper hand there. They've started their freeze. EP started on the Krugs.
He started on the Krug, so it feels like they've been a little bit unwittingly lane swapped on, even though you'd expect the level 1 advantage to be significantly EP's advantage, just because Dandy had to use his flash. But that's almost covered some very smart lane rotations coming through from Vici.
And you can see Raphael here in the mid. One of the first Azir players, I believe, up against Hetong Xerath here, and already really digging into this matchup. And it's very back and forth. They both have extremely long range. So we'll see a lot. We've seen a lot of this matchup. We're going to see more of it here again.
So probably not too much to be expected. Amazing J's taken quite a little bit of harass. He did go for a very heavy regen start. So he'll be doing just fine in terms of having that regen. He has 41 magic resist, so he's going to be very happy that he at least has a bit of magic resist to deal with all this damage. But Vasili's going very aggressively.
Yeah, good stun there by Mata. And Amazing J still level 1 after the freeze, takes a lot of damage. Going to get forced to recall potentially. Does have his teleport, but great pressure early on by Vici.
Yeah, the jungle follow has been on by Carry, so Carry's already level 3 despite never entering lane. He's very, very healthy. Of course, Maokai has that unique ability to stack the saplings, get the instant level 2. So once he finishes this jungle follow and ports to back down to bot turret, potentially picks up a second door and ring, and have a lot of harass.
Yeah, and Vici really have just gotten the better of EP, it seems like, in the early stages of this lane swap. So we'll see how the rest of that breaks up. Mid lane, which is now isolated after the swaps, is very even, and kind of what we expect here in this particular matchup. But both Raphael and Hatong going to have plenty of time to farm up.
Yeah, not a lot of solo kill potential for either of these champions early before level 6 and the snipes coming through from Xerath. So probably not going to have to look to the mid too often as Carry, again, like I said, double door and ring, a lot of sustain available, and very high level. Level 4, the highest in the game.
Yeah, got the creeps pushing his turret as well, so collecting CS. There's actually 3 members of EP in towards the top side of the map, so they're looking for a gank here.
And Drizzle's been here quite a while. There's not a lot of the Amazing J's going to have to do a lot of the CC, but this is a big fight.
Yeah, Dandy's here as well. Mata actually with a great event horizon. Good triple knock up there by Dandy. Shu in trouble. Going to be forced to flash out, but Vasily goes in. The Chilling Smite goes down, and first blood goes to Corky. Vasily, they're going to flash out. Drizzle in trouble actually, but not going to get chased on. Oh, the Prey Seeker. Dandy snipes it for a double.
Dandy gets the snipe. Prey Seeker. So much confidence from Vici in their skirmish, and you have to remember Dandy still does not have flash available. There was a summoner advantage in that skirmish for EP, but they face-checked, out came Dandy, and the kills came through.
And we talk about it so often when we talk about Dandy and how he jungles, but he always seems to be in the right place at the right time, and as always, that is not a coincidence.
Yeah, I mean, Marta was doing a lot of work, only had 1 point in the event horizon, but an AoE 1.5 second stun just throws off so many skirmishes that you're able to predict. Of course, with these new supports coming through, they do slightly different things, and that lockdown is so big from the event horizon.
Yeah, very well played in the exchange in towards the top. Raphael, they're going to think about going back here. Looks like Hatong's already done that, so actually has an early amplifying tome here just for a bit of flat AP. 80 carries. Actually up currently for Kane, so a little bit of trouble, it seems like, for Vasily last hitting in that, what I guess became a 3v3. But the big news here has to be the top laners. Carry is so far ahead of Amazing J.
Carry has a lot of items on Amazing J, and look at this. They're already looking to prey upon Amazing J by counter lane swapping. They don't want to give away any dragon control after the early lane swap, so swapping Vasily back to bot. He has a Sheen already, so a significant item advantage over the Ezreal. Already he's going to have the trade advantage in that lane, even though he's under level, just because Kane's on the Ezreal, doesn't have a lot of lane control early. But the Sheen is the offensive item choice. As a Tong, gets a lot of damage on Raphael.
It's a good snipe. Unfortunately, doesn't have an aggressive summoner spell, so can't really, flash over the wall and ignite him. But Raphael will have the message received there, and Hatong's going to try and clean out this minion wave. Raphael going to recall all the way back towards his tier 2 turret.
You could see Raphael that he didn't move after this time. You know he was in the shop pondering his big purchase. Very expertly harassed by Hatong.
And the poor Amazing J, who's really been bullied early on, Carry just goes in on him as the over-leveled Maokai here. Amazing J finally going to get some CSN experience, but he's struggling now against the double Doran's Maokai.
I'm just so impressed with Vici's early map movement. Again, after their plan, you would have thought would have been thrown out the window when Dandy had to use his flash level 1. They commit to it, still go to the lane swap, win that skirmish, and now with the counter rotation, both top and bot are in disadvantageous positions from all the early moves from Vici.
Yeah, and we sort of looked to Drizzle here and Energy Pacemaker to set the tone for his team, but he kind of just got out counter-ganked there by Dandy in the top lane, and that's all he's been able to do so far.
Out counter-ganked, even though Dandy didn't have the flash available. So it was all or nothing for Dandy there. If they committed to it and lost, he didn't even have the defensive option to flash out. Again, excellent timing and communication. Vici, communication's been at a premium for them. There's been times Dandy and Marta have really been in sync with their teammates. Other times their teammates just have lagged behind and haven't been able to translate vision advantages to big advantages for the team. That time it worked out, and he actually sniped away the Grump.
Dandy, the Prince of Thieves indeed, snipes away the Grump with his Prey Seeker and casually walks out there, burrowed away. Mid lane there as well. Raphael has Ding 6, Hatong's done the same, so mid lane going to have a few more options now as they've skilled up their ultis.
Look at the difference in gold already. 1,800 gold just from those 2 kills and the CS advantages across the lanes. Slight advantage in the bottom lane for Kane, but with all the rotations and of course people coming into the lane stealing away creeps, not a big problem for Vasily.
Yeah, and Dandy going for a bit more of an aggressive choice here as well. Chilling Smite here, his option, and he's building in towards a pretty quick warrior as well. Now stealing away the blue buff. Going to look to give that over to Hatong, and Xerath looks like he's just going to pick it up.
It's interesting to see Xerath do that. Watching in the bot lane also, Mata is maxing the event horizon first. So he doesn't have a lot of lane control himself, but he's laning with a Corki, of course, has one of the highest levels of lane control of any champion. If he's able to hit those phosphorus bombs, as long as it's not against the Sivers of the world, very strong.
Yeah, Kane in trouble there. Phosphorus bomb does come through. Exhaust hits there as well, but Kane just going to use his ulti. Does clip Vasily for good damage, and Kane will just live through Mata's Ignite. So good pressure there coming through for Vici, but can't quite nab the kill.
Credit to where it's worth. The wonderful exhaust timing from Shu keeps alive the carry. But again, a Veigar with lane control is kind of a scary thing for EP.
Vasily and Mata hoping that someone walks by, but instead they'll just kind of pick the safe option. Dandy did take that blue for himself, by the way, so a good steal there, but Hatong, of course, will get the second blue coming through now as well. So Dandy not just out-counting ganking in the top lane there, now stealing away Drizzle's jungle as well.
Absolutely out-jungling Drizzle. I mean, in terms of the matchup, in terms of the pedigree, maybe that's not surprising, but after the start, you have to take into consideration losing your flash and then so landslidedly winning the jungle matchup. Dandy is super on form today.
Yeah, Dandy even going to clear out a pink ward on the bottom side as well, so much advantage. And we look to Rek'Sai as the jungle that, for me, just suits Dandy's style to a T.
Well, it's one of those things where you can balance the ganking and the farming so effectively, so you can get over-leveled and over-farmed, actually have flexible options in terms of build path. You can go the super greedy carry path, or you can just go for more balanced tankiness. At this point, we don't know if there's going to be a Sightstone, but we have to think maybe a luxury Sightstone or snowball Sightstone after the warrior comes through. And then late game, you have even more options. Maybe it's the options that Dandy's committed to. It's not going to be the Nunus of the world, the support junglers. It's not pigeonholing himself. The Nidalees and the Rek'Sai open him up to carry potential, and the Rek'Sai especially. Early ganking, tankiness, damage, and split pushing. So many options. So fitting for what Dandy needs to do for this team.
Absolutely. His carry is still kind of bullying Amazing J around. Jarvan has picked up a bit more CS, but as per Amazing J, he's going quite aggressive with his early item build.
So risky when you're behind to go for what I have to assume is either going to be a Tiamat or maybe even slowly building in a Hex Drinker into the Maw of Malmortius. Still, the offensive item, the 875 gold spent on damage stats, he will not be tanking any sort of dragon fight in the next few minutes. And speaking of dragon, Dandy's starting it straight up.
Yeah, no teleport there from Amazing J. So carry, if he wants to, can come down. Dandy, with the warrior enchant completed, does quite a lot of neutral buff damage. Hatong isn't really needed, but will assist him in the first dragon. Cleanly goes over to Vici Gaming.
I believe it was in Visions. They have a timer for at least EP. With the top lane matchup as it is, not really in a position to commit to. Of course, Amazing J can do some damage trades with this Maokai, but isn't built for team fighting at all.
Yeah, and I think we have to look to the bottom lane here as well. As Kane actually going to get stunned up. A good ulti there coming through. Vasily really wants it. Lands a Phosphorus Bomber, gets a first kill. Going to chase on the Shu, but just a little bit of poke damage coming in. And Vasily, as always, playing aggressively on his Corki.
Yeah, those event horizons are really opening up Vasily to show us that aggression. We remember his aggressive rocket jumps on Tristana. The same flavor coming through excellently once the event horizon hits. All in coming from Vasily.
And that was my last point about dragon control there for Vici. Even though both bottom lanes were in towards the bottom side, Fade Sheen already done for Vasily means that they have just such a good advantage with their dual lane in towards the bottom side of the map.
Absolutely. It would have been a big mistake to try and contest that dragon with both the item timings on Vici and the lack of item timings being hit on EP. So smart to back away from it, but the kill on top, the advantages are starting to stack up here for Vici and EP. They're looking at a bit of a hole in terms of both global gold and these neutral objectives.
Yeah, starting to fall behind a little bit here. 2,000 to 3,000 gold now. The lead for Vici, but EP, there is some good news here. The mid lane especially keeping up very well against each other. Both have finished their Merlinomicons. Raphael about 10 CS behind, but sort of expected in a matchup that is at least somewhat Xerath favored. So we'll see if Azir, when he does start moving into these team fights, can start making a difference. But same case for Atonga. He also hasn't had to move out of his lane.
Yeah, but the good news kind of stops there with the item timing coming through, right? We see Mata in the top lane. That's because we already have Trinity Force completed on Corki. He's going to take a long time to come to this, so probably not kill pressure on Amazing J, but this turret, you have to think, not going to be long for the world now that Corki's already grouping across the map.
No, great pressure there as well, actually. Amazing J did a good job to get out, saving his combo until the last second, and not quite enough damage without the Corki, but 4-man strong in the top side, and actually basically 5 there with Rek'Sai even hunting him, although the carry did actually back away, but Vici going to do what every good team does with their Corki, group and take turrets.
Yeah, and Kane eventually started holding the wave, then he realized what was happening, realized that he has to push it out, but this is Ezreal we're talking about, only has the ultimate for that wave clear, and just the moment he finally pushes it into turret, who should be there but Maokai?
Yeah, very well played there. Top turret will go down. Dandy just gives up on the top lane, knows he's not needed. Vasily doing more than enough work just on his own with a little help from Mata, so Dandy moves into farm, and again, options is what Rek'Sai gives, and Dandy just loves options from the jungle.
And you have to think the only option for Vici right now is to rotate to the mid lane. That's the last objective they can pick up realistically. Kane offers so little in terms of wave clear. This wonderful wave clear for Raphael, but the dive pressure is there if carry groups. There's so many things for Vici and EP. They're just trying to lose the minimum at this point.
Yeah, such a massive gold lead being built up by Vici now as well. 5,000 gold already at 13.5 minutes. And carry, even he's comfortable here in the Marco. Got a quick Righteous Glory, not going for the Rod of Ages, which he would have had in fairly good timing given how this game started for him, but wants to get much more aggressive with his mid game.
And you just look at the items across the board. There's scaling happening from Kane. Of course, very commonly we do see this tier on Ezra. I believe only Kid has been one to give up the Mana Moon into Trinity Force, just going straight for that Trinity Force. But again, scaling versus complete items. Immediate power versus late game scaling. That's the worry here, is that if they're committing to mid game power and they're already ahead, there's no guarantee that Kane will ever even see a Mirror Mana transformation, as Ezreal doesn't have the lane control. It's getting roamed upon. The game is being played around EP and around Kane. And just everything really coming through for Vici. Very smart game plan and very well executed in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, again, Vici looking very together in a great three-man push, waddling down to get the final outer turret as well. And it's funny, you look at those three members, you might think that the real threat is Vasily, but it's actually that guy right there, Mata, waddling in on the Vega. Carry actually going to look for a snare, does find it. Good double knock as well. Mata goes in, gets the first stun, Shu in a whole host of trouble, but does shield himself. Might be safe for now. Vasily, oh, that was an amazing Monsoon, but still a good snipe there from Atong to secure the kill. Jana did everything and still died.
Yeah, the Monsoon mini stun on the Valkyrie was wonderful mechanics from Shu. Shu's actually looked good all the way across this game, but means so little, unfortunately, when the rest of her team just isn't doing it for the Jana.
Yeah, and now, of course, Dandy going to rock in towards the top side, stop the push in from Amazing J and save the turret as he does move in. I mean, Amazing J's done some good work here, but it's only at, what, 50% health? Dandy here with a minute 30 off the Dragon, totally comfy, just taking top palm for a short while.
And of course, that's an AD Jarvan with, 35 AD from items. Of course, we'll have runes as well. He does have very quick turret pushing, but he hasn't been able to win lane. He hasn't been able to hold down his opponent. In fact, his opponent's up 12 CS. Of course, that advantage was a bit larger given the early map movement for carry, so it's good that he's brought that advantage back down. But when he goes back, builds a Tiamat, doesn't mean anything for a team fight. He's still going to die instantly.
Yeah, and with the Dragon back in a minute, that's not what AP want here. So they might just have to sit out this second Dragon, look for the third as the one they really want to contest, because Vici have invested so much in mid-game power.
And that's the question, though, is when do they finally throw up that big contest? They're not going to throw up their arms and surrender necessarily. They do have scaling options. There is options for them in the late game, but there's no clear item timing that really shouts to me, okay, this is the go time. So is it going to be the second Dragon? Is it going to be the third Dragon? Are they going to get wards around the Baron to have any defensive pressure around there? Giving away the minimum is a really tough ask because you never know which objective will be the big snowball that really takes you out of the game.
Well, Matalo finds a stun. Hatong goes way in, a great long-range stun there as well. And Hatong fully deserves that kill and picks it up.
What I'll really credit Hatong for there was understanding his damage potential, flashing in, understanding that he didn't even need his ultimate to kill away Drizzle. Very in tune with Xerath's damage and ranges as Hatong. Credit to him. Good play.
Well, given how much Xerath play we've seen in the LPL, I certainly hope the Xerath players are on top of it, but absolutely right. Full credit there going to Vici's mid laner. Amazing Day is going to get a turret here, so sticking in the top side, probably the right choice here, but the second Dragon going to go very easily over to Vici.
Yeah, Maokai walked very slowly to top, wasn't able to stop the global gold coming through, but it's 6,000 gold as lead, 2 Dragons. The third Dragon's usually the one we look at and say, all right, you have to contest for that one, so at least the Mana Moon is completed for Ezreal. I'll have a look at the stacks just to see where he's at. He's about halfway to the transform. Probably not realistically going to be complete in 6 minutes. They still really need to contest for that third Dragon to EP.
Yeah, I mean, Kane, if he gets his gauntlet, that's a good sign there. Azir, interesting to see how much he can farm up in the next few minutes. And I mean, Jarvan, if you can get even just a giant spell at this point, might be okay. So the R2, oh, Kane in so much trouble. Vasily blows him up there. Mata, while I'm rambling on, just lands an easy stun.
Again, the event horizon at this point standing for, I believe, 2.25 seconds. Very close to that max Fiddle Fear, for example, to give context, or the Rammus Taunt. And during that time, we're talking Trinity Force Corki, Sorcerer's Shoes, just to have the ideal mid-game power spike. Mid-game is the word across the board for Vici, and Vasily deletes Kane off the map.
Yeah, reflected even in Vasily's boots there as well, going for the very aggressive Sorcerer Shoes, which is a standard on Corki these days, especially in the LPL. But Vasily knows what he wants to do. A great pairing here from Vici, and I'm very impressed so far by the duo lane.
Yeah, and they're still managing to get aggressive wards in, but it's definitely not week 1, week 2 Vici, where it was Dandy Mada on the kind of more supportive junglers, focusing exclusively on vision. We see more aggressive item choice coming up. We would never have seen an Aegis Giants belt at 18 minutes, even in a winning game from Vici in week 1 for Dandy, but that's what he understands. They need to take more on himself in terms of selfish item builds. They don't have the vision struggle, but to be honest, they don't need to strangle EP out of vision. They're doing just fine with what they have.
Yeah, and they've got a pretty massive gold lead still, about 6,500 gold up now as well. We see Raphael does clear out a few wards, so EP doing a good job getting defensive wards on their side, but again, they've got another Dragon they have to worry about in about 4 or 5 minutes. Vici are continuing to push in, probably with the Vega, Corki, and Hatong even leveling up there as well, getting a lot more power coming through with possibly a Rabadon as his second item. So things are starting to rack up here for Vici, and EP, they have to basically say stop at some point.
They kind of have emergency item timings too, like the blasting ones come through for Raphael. Of course, Deathcap second is fine on Azir, but it doesn't give you any flexible offensive options like the Zhonya's. And if they're wanting to get a pick, they're going to need to get very aggressive in their positioning. Even the Azir is going to have to go in because it is a 2-threat comp. With Amazing J building a bit of AD, it's maybe a 2.5 threat comp, but Ezreal is going to be comfortably in the backline. They need Raphael to really take a fight by the scruff of the neck. But just getting that cost-effective AP, he's going to die instantly if he's focused by any of the dive power, even the event horizon coming through from Mata.
That's exactly what I wanted to point out. I feel like Amazing J feels so denied by this Vega support pick because it's such a big zone of influence that the ability gives you. So Vici going to clear out some more wards. Do find the defensive pink that was sitting in EP's jungle, and Dandy, again, positioning very aggressively here in the Death Cup, now done for Hetong. BF sword up for Corki now as well. Vici suddenly really spiking towards their big 2-item power spike.
This has definitely been the item build of choice for the Vega spots, working on the early Talisman Ascension for more movement speed, getting in the perfect range for the event horizon. I believe Dandy still took away the red buff there. As in the top lane, the tank fights continue.
Yeah, he does have it there. You can see Dandy did manage to steal away the buff, so continuing to take things away here from Energy Pacemaker. Need to see Large Rod has been picked up by Raphael, so he's going to have most of his death cap, but likely incomplete by the time the Dragon rolls around. And Kane still spending his gold, actually going for Trinity for a second.
We see another pick coming through.
Good stun moving in. Drizzle just gets exploded there. Vasily doing so much damage. Still taking the turret, though. Does have to be careful, but no ulti there for Candace. Dandy has wrapped around the back, but a little too aggressive. A good tornado there coming in for Shu, but Vici going to be 4-man strong. Try and push this down, but Raphael is here to defend.
Vasily is really needed for turret damage. Of course, the Trinity Force procs are how they DPS down those turrets. So because he took such a big amount of poke, they're not actually able to get the objective. So the 1 kill means so little, especially when it's 7-0 as a total kill score. They lost more out of Vasily losing over half his health than they gained from the pick.
Yeah, so Vici, we talk about their aggression, especially coming from their AD carry, but a little too much there possibly as Dandy will zip his way across the map. Amazing J does have to be careful. Dandy instead, they're just going to take away the Grump. Not interested in a gank at this point.
Yeah, we see more picks potentially coming through in the bottom lane. Mata, he just tries to step outside of vision and go for the picks with the event horizon. All the lanes pushing out for EP. They're struggling to get any sort of wards on the map. 1.5 minutes, that all-important third dragon. With the minimap as it is, with the lack of vision, I don't see how they can even hope to contest it.
And you know, for Vici, it might be a bit more aggression that they're using here at this point, but the game still feels very, vision heavy at this point. They're getting their aggressive wards and they're preparing well for objectives. They're just doing it with a bit more aggression than, say, the Samsung White of old used to do.
Well, the ironic thing is, you look at this minimap, if you treat those Rek'Sai tunnels as wards, that's probably what the map would have looked like in the first couple of weeks, but instead it's the couple of pinks and the very aggressive pink wards in the enemy jungle, but not really the greens that we would have expected, just because they don't need them. They were over-warding to an extent. They were spending too much gold on those vision items. In this case, going selfish. There's not even a sightstone, importantly, from Danny. He got a very snowball Aegis. They're focusing on combat stats. They're still smart with their pink ward line, so obviously Mata and Dandy informing that part of their game, but they're not overwarding. They're spending their gold smarter, and I feel this is a more viable strategy, especially in the Chinese jungle and the Chinese meta.
Yeah, actually I love this as well. Dandy making such good use of Tremor Sense, knowing the blue buff coming back as well. Amazing J is defending though, so the wards they're trying to get down aggressively in this blue are not there yet. As a pink does sit next to the buff now, but Mata just going to wander in, waddles in, puts down a ward. He'll be able to clear that out again. The Raphael doing a good job, but Mata actually going to throw in the stun. Amazing J going to try and dive in. A teleport though coming in as well. The blue buff does go down, but Vasily is coming in as well. And Carry just able to lock up so many members. A good as zero, but it gets dodged up by Maka. Gets kicked back into the wall though, but Dandy's already killed Kane. Ezu going to go down. There's a flash knock up onto Amazing J. Carry falls in. That's a good EQ actually to get him out of it, and Shu with a great shield will protect him, so just the 1 kill. EP defend valiantly.
Even with Vasily not really able to get in range of damage, the moment the Righteous Glory was popped by Maokai, he was going straight in. Wonderful snipe coming through from Xerath, but that was definitely not an ideal team fight for Vici. In fact, that was about as good as we're going to get for EP, and they only lose the minimum. They can't get any semblance of an advantage, and we're still probably going to see Vici pick up the next dragon.
Yeah, they will take the third dragon, exactly. So Vici at least get a pick enough here to make sure they get it, although Shu and Raphael are coming in. They might look to contest here. Dragon has already been started up. Janna will throw a ward in. Sweeper, though, immediately thrown down here. And Raphael Drizzle actually here. A good stun there for Mata to secure the dragon. But they have to be careful. Drizzle is going in. He does steal the first dragon. Amazing J going to dive in onto Mata's Vega there as well. Now Raphael in the back. Amazing J gets the first kill. Carry a good 3-man knockoff. Hetong does so much damage and gets the first kill. Drizzle with a good kick back there, but Carry. Oh, the Righteous Glory, not enough. Can he find the W? Noah Wardhop will get Lee Sin to safety. 1-for-1 on the Dragon. EP will take it for now, but Kane's now moving in as well. Dandy actually could be in trouble. Carry, though, is going to rotate back in. A very convenient tunnel keeps Dandy safe for a little bit. And now Carry left out to dry here as well. Kane and Amazing J continuing to run in. Dandy does get Drizzle, who is backing in a brush. Carry trying to keep his chase up, but he's got nowhere to go. A stun there dodged out by Kane. Carry very tanky, but does go down.
Yeah, 2 for 2 is the final trade, but look what's happened the whole time. You might wonder, why did the Dragon take so long? Why is the fight so even? We've seen so one-sided trades. Those first 2 kills come on the board there for EP, but at the same time, Vici doing so much damage to structures. Takes down 2, flashes in just to get another one. He'll probably fall here, let's be realistic, but he's done his work.
Yeah, I mean, didn't get the inhib, so good defense there from EP, and a great flash by Vasily to dodge the EQ there of Jarvan. So EP, hold on for now, but yeah, that even Dragon fight was because it was in fact uneven.
I mean, uneven, you're talking about the Trinity Force Sorceress, who's even at the time, he already had a BF Sword and a Pickaxe, goes back, finishes the Bloodthirster. That would have been a landslide team fight for Vici, but they take the guaranteed structures there. Taking especially the inhibitor turret is so massive potentially for their Baron control, even the enemy blue buff control. And to go even in that fight, maybe even sneak ahead slightly, shows you just how far ahead Vici is.
Yeah, and you can see there it's reflected in the gold. Mata actually going to get jumped on by Raphael, but a good stun does prevent Azir from chasing in. Instead, he'll take a ward for his troubles, but 10,000 gold ahead are Vici. And it feels like they've been that way for a while because these item spikes are just massive.
And despite having mobility, you still are stunned for the full 2.5 second duration if you pass through the event horizon. So no potential kill coming through for Raphael. They need to pick up the Merc Treads here. Does Raphael and all of EP. Just because that's the only way to really negate all that CC coming through from Veigar. If they chop down the CC duration, you're just taking away almost all of the effectiveness of this support Veigar pick.
We see now as well. We've got Locket picked up there for Dandy, so he's finished that. Void Stuff done for Tongue, and Frozen Heart actually finished up for Carry. So that was a big shot that Vici just got after the back and forth exchange. Mata going to come and look for a stun, finds it onto Kane, but a good arcane shift out. Now the ulti going to come in for Tongue. Kane almost dies in 3 shots actually, and Vasily still chasing in aggressively. So Vici no kills, but good pressure.
And you can tell about timings. Trinity Force is finally completed for Ezreal, but still no Mirror Mana transformation, and Raphael's in a lot of trouble.
Dead, in fact, as Tongue picks up the kill. Good stun again by Mata.
Yeah, so they're in the enemy jungle aggressively. Don't have necessarily the wards to get all the picks they'd want, but you can see the effectiveness of all the combat stats they have. They're starting to walk towards Baron. It's a realistic option for them, but with the minion wave so aggressively pushing out in top lane, they don't have quite the same 6th man pressure that they might want to pick up this safe objective.
Well, they'll run in there instead. Vici very confident right now in the control they have around the map. Raphael still dead for 15 seconds, so can't really blame him here. The Baron dying fairly swiftly now as well. I mean, between Vasily and Dandy, they do quite a lot of damage, but they are actually forced to pull off, it seems.
So they don't have any percentage health damage, so it's going to be quite a slow Baron. They're trying to DPS it down, but this is the awkward point. It's at 4,000 health.
Amazing J dives in. Drizzle, though, does get blown up there. Hertong claims another kill. Xerath very low there, but still somehow alive. Mata gets the last kill onto Amazing J. Dandy now still chasing Kane on the Ezreal. Preyseeker does land, but no tunnel forthcoming. Ezreal will escape, but 2 clean kills for Vici.
2 kills. They managed to get on top of Hertong, but it doesn't matter. Mata with the flash event horizon. Beautiful stuff.
And Shu in trouble there, getting knocked back by Carry, locked up by the twisted advance as well. Mata kiting back and forth. Raphael actually good damage, but Vasily in for the real damage now. And Shu stood in place, and kill actually goes to Mata again.
Yeah, Shu bought a lot of time, but maybe that delays the Baron with wasting so much time, letting the death timers come down. Of course, Amazing J does have teleport available. Is semblance of tankiness with the Banshee Veil. Doesn't really have any armor to speak of yet. But if they bought enough time with Janna staying alive there to just peel them off the Baron, it's a small win for EP.
Yes, I mean, again, losing the minimum seems to be the theme here for EP this particular game, but I think after losing, actually they didn't lose the 3rd dragon, I forgot about that, so good still there from Jizzle, sets that up, but Vici still just such a big lead.
And look, the objective Snowball, it's been halted, or at least is a bit on hold for Vici, but the gold speaks for itself. We're talking 14,000 gold. That's definitely not the minimum. On this patch, especially when Dragon doesn't even give global gold, it's a massive amount of manage. Look at the turrets, though, of course. Not quite the 8 turrets, but all the outer turrets, barring the mid-inner turret, down for EP.
Yeah, 5 there picked up for Vici. Azir, of course, continuing to cause us troubles here on 5.2. Shu here will actually dodge the Dark Mana. Mata just trying to poke out. Veigar actually even a level up here for a 2nd level in the ulti. So even Mata now with the 2 kills that he picked up, looking pretty strong here on the Veigar.
Yeah, no need to rush and build AP, of course. Has a bit of mana regen, so he can ensure that he can have the event horizon available on cooldown. He'll just be looking to ult Azir at every opportunity. Of course, his damage does scale with enemies' AP, 80% of enemies' AP, so it will be a respectable nuke, but he's basically there, a glorified Event Horizon bot.
Yeah, and such a good stun it is now as Dandy is going to come in, a good Event Horizon, but doesn't quite lock into an up. Shu does disengage very nicely, and Tong has already popped his ulti. Carry actually going in. Flash is very aggressive, but Raphael disengages nicely, and EP stay alive for now.
Yeah, excellent choke to fight in for Azir with the ability to use the Emperor's Divide to split away the engager. Does blow Carry's flash. He doesn't have that 900 range engage with the flash Twisted Advance. But stopping Baron's going to be a difficult one for EP.
Yeah, Vici are just going to start off the Baron here now as well. We'll get aggressive. EP are getting some of their damage in, but they really just can't afford to run into the pit now, and Vici should pick up the Baron.
Yeah, it looks like Vici are going to pick up the Baron. Yeah, it does come through. It looks like EP were trying to answer it with Dragon, but it's not going to mean too much, really.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, EP can't even look at the Dragon, unfortunately. They do have vision in the area as well, so that's good at least. But, I mean, Vici, again, we've talked about their gold lead. They've got so much damage and strength coming through, and instead of Dragon, they're going to push him for a tower.
A couple of issues with the connection here as we're trying to follow what's happened. The Baron's definitely been completed. It looks like Vici is still going to be able to pick up the Baron as we come through. That's the third Dragon, not the fourth Dragon, importantly, but it's still a big pickup for Vici.
Yeah, did get the mid turret there as well, so Dandy now going to hang out and hunt in towards the roadside jungle. Vasily going to rotate down in on his Corki, and hasn't quite spent his gold. Probably has quite a lot of it stacked up here, but again, Vici just spreading out, and now all they have to do is break the base, and thankfully for them, after the last Dragon fight, they've actually already got the top turret down.
Yeah, the turrets are definitely in their advantage. The 10 turrets, look, it's still global gold. It's not the Azir. The Azir turret's trolling us a little bit, but it does reflect just how much map pressure there is. Realistically, there's only a small window for EP to come out of their base and pick up any minions. They're just looking to have the minion waves crash in, pick up gold where they can, but the power spikes are just not there across the board.
Yeah, Mata and Dandy will join together, as you've seen so many times between these duo. And again, just going to try and get some early vision done. Clear out the defensive pingles that EP are desperately trying to get in their base. Amazing Jack's going to dive in onto Mata, but he's going to flash out there. A good Ezreal ulti does clip him, but a great stun should keep him safe. Dandy actually going to go back in now as well, maybe looking for a knockup, but has to wait for Vasily, who's now coming through. But he's sort of 1v5 flanking at this point. Mata going to prepare another stun. Hatong actually going to poke out, going to try and find the ulti. Last bolt in, but doesn't hit Kane. Dandy though in the front line. Amazing Day diving in the back. Drizzle picks up the kill onto Mata, and Dandy gets very, very low, but still alive for now. Corki gets the double. Vasily still moving in, actually gets popped back by Raphael, but Vasily gets a quadra. Can he make it the Penta? No, Raphael does take him out, but Hatong will claim it there for Vasily instead.
And Carry finally groups after watching so much carnage happen around him. Massive kills for Vasily, but it all goes for Vici. Despite being 4v5 for most of that engage, the items are just so landslide in their advantage. They're feeling great, and they could finish the game here with the Baron buff minions.
Yeah, I mean, the Baron buff minions doing a lot of work. Don't have Vasily, unfortunately, to really push him, but they'll take the bottom inhib. They might even just take all of the inhibs now as well. They'll at least look for this inhibitor turret in the mid. They'll get that down there as well. Going to try and find the mid one as well. They're going to move in and possibly can take the third, but that's 2 inhibs down there for Vici. EP really up against the ropes.
Yeah, I mean, they're looking excellent at this point. They have so many advantages across the map. 2 inhibitor turrets down. You don't, even with some of the late game scaling, you see the Mirror Mana is finally completed. We're talking a Mirror Mana against potentially Infinity Edge, Trinity Force, Bloodthirster, even a Hex Drinker, a luxury upgrade there for Vasily. He's so overtuned in terms of items. In fact, last week when he was playing Vasily, he really struggled in the first series out, didn't even pick up a kill, and then came back strong when he moved to Graves. Corki's suiting him just fine as well.
Yeah, just a player that really wants to be aggressive and has kind of enabled himself a lot more to have that sort of flavor to his play. Kind of moving through some of the interesting choices as well. Mata actually, we'll say hello to Amazing Day, but just being very annoying on this Vega, really poking him. Does find a stun, but no follow-up damage there to come.
Yeah, definitely doesn't have any AP himself, so he's only really looking towards Azir as someone he can hope to explode or at least chunk down effectively. No magic resist barring the Merc Treads completed on Azir, so Vega going to be doing very respectable damage to him.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I kind of find curious about Hatong's build as well. He's actually got an arm guard for an eventual zone, but got a quick haunting guys there as well, although it looks like Carry might be trying to go in. Mata is going unbelievably fast there on the Vega after popping the talisman. Vasily going to pick up another kill on this Corki, and Vici now 5v4 might have enough to finish the game.
Yeah, they've got 5 members strong. They don't quite have the minion waves pushing apart from bot lane. They really want a strong minion wave coming into the mid. They're going to clear out the top turret to at least start getting the super minions is pushing in, but they're just pushing towards what is going to be an eventual victory for Vici Gaming.
Yeah, Carry tanking up a lot here. Amazing J going to get jumped on her tongue, throws out the stun, but it does not land. Ezreal will move out his ulti as well, but Vici is shredding through these turrets. Raphael, respectable damage there for Dandy, but not quite enough. And now Amazing J in trouble. Kane, though, does get the kill onto Dandy's Rek'Sai, and Carry is diving in the backline. Actually quite low, has to be careful, but Vici are taking out the turrets. They do get them both. The Nexus is exposed, but it's 5v3 right now.
It feels like they're too aggressive to pick up exit kills. They could have just pushed with the mins. They didn't have to have Dandy tank the turret for 8 to 10 seconds. Drizzle still falls to the snipe, and Vasily, he's not getting the memo. He's still going in.
Yeah, Mata set that up so well, and he's going to keep going in. A triple stun, basically, from Event Horizon. Kane forced to sit there and watch Vasily. Just going to maybe guide his way around the Nexus for the kill. Vici dancing around the structures, but EP can't do anything. Mata going to come in for one more stun. Vasily pads the scoreline instead of finishing the game. He really wants it. He gets the double. Going to finish the game in style. Vasily goes absolutely massive on Corki.
Valkyrie's in for the auto attack. Just a lovely exclamation point on what has been a wonderful performance from Vasily. You can see the Vici members, they're so excited after this result, feeling great, and why not? They dismantled EP in the first game of Week 6.
A big and well-deserved smile from Vasily at the end there. Fantastically played game by Vici. We wondered, what do Vici look like now? They've had a break. They looked very promising in Week 5, and that was just beautiful from start to finish.
And barring a few times when they were fighting 5v4, okay, they had a big advantage, but they could have really a little bit fine-tuning on their grouping. They played that game perfectly, and we saw, again, the next evolution of Dandy, moving towards the more carry-orientated builds. No need for the sights, and just focusing on the Aegises, the very early Snowball Aegis. He went full super tank with the Randuin's Omen, was the front line his team needed next to carry. And those selfish stats, they're helping propel Vici just be more of an overall strong fighting team.
But the thing for me as well is, sure, Dandy's definitely shifted in style, especially once 5.2 has happened here. But it's not everything. Like they can't put eggs in the carry jungler basket. We've seen what happens when Spirit, I guess, from World Elite has tried to do that in their earlier matches. When Dandy wins, he is going a bit more selfish, which is great. But someone on Vici has to step up. And for me, that person has been Vasily.
Absolutely. Vasily, when he's playing well, when he has his tail up, when the laning phase suits him, his carry potential has been very good. In lane against the top 80 carries in China, he does struggle a bit. But when he gets through the laning phase, especially when he wins the laning phase, that aggression, it pays off so well.
Well, a great first game for Vici, but we are going to take a quick break here. Vici playing with style and flair there in the last one, but can EP take it to them, or is it going to be a 2-0 here? We'll go for a quick break, but don't go anywhere.